For example, I've seen you on TV a lot in the last couple of years. I know everything you know or that you tell us about the Russian situation. I don't have a clue what you think about healthcare. I've never heard it.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you're for Medicare for all or improve Obamacare or get a chicken. I don't know what.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do we help you get this done? Not how do we put more obstacles in the way? I haven't forgotten about your roof. All of that is important to keeping.
And my pot store.
And what?
And the pot store, the Woods that I own with Woody Harrelson. It's just the biggest problem we had was the government of California.
Bill Maher has clashed with Adam Schiff in the past. And honestly, those exchanges were anything but friendly. Schiff stands as a symbol of strict woke politics, while Maher is known for tearing those ideas down right in front of you. So, whenever these two appear together on one stage, you already know how it plays out. Uncomfortable silence, biting humor, and clear tension. Hit subscribe, get comfortable, and let's dive right into the face-off.
TV productions continue to move out of California due to tax incentives in other states. What might the future look for Los Angeles? Is there a risk of it becoming the next Detroit?
I don't agree with the diagnosis of why the film industry is leaving. They're leaving because they're getting richer incentives in other states and in other countries. And we haven't kept pace with that. So if you want to film in the United Kingdom, you're going to get a tremendous tax break, and our motion picture industry has left the country. If you want to film in New York or Georgia, there are generous tax incentives. If we want to keep the industry here, we're going to have to compete with tax incentives. California has started to do that.
Maher didn't just challenge Schiff here. He carefully set him up. He reads a statement about Libya. Then he asks, "Is that too vague?" Schiff quickly replies, "Yes, completely vague." But Schiff failed to notice the setup. Those words weren't from Trump. They were from Obama. And the moment Maher reveals it, boom, you can see Schiff pause as the double standard lands right in the spotlight. And if you think that was rough, the next clip gets even worse.
Every year, California loses people because they are being driven away by a high-tax, high-regulation state where public services don't reach the standards that they should. That should be a signal that we shouldn't have one favored industry or another. We should have a favored state. California to be competitive.
Nope. Hollywood isn't leaving California for fun. It's fleeing rising costs. And yes, taxes play a big role in it. Everyone in that industry talks about it. This isn't a mystery. Sure, Georgia and the UK offer incentives, but the core issue is simple. California is extremely expensive to film in. So expensive that even Europe begins to seem like a bargain.
About your roof, all of that is important to keeping.
And my pot store.
And what?
And the pot store, the Woods that I own with Woody Harrelson. It's just the biggest problem we had was the government of California.
I imagine your producers are saying, "Oh God, I can't believe Schiff brought up his roof."
Yeah, I mean, we love it here. We want to live here. The West Coast has the sunshine and the girls all get so tan. I don't know how I can, but we just gotta make it friendly.
And here's what's wild. Even before Maher fully steps in, the criticism is already there. High taxes, strict rules, endless regulations. Maher has pushed that point for years. So, why does Schiff keep presenting it like it's only about incentives? Because that sounds better than admitting the state is in trouble.
I don't agree with the UK's proposal to impose a social media curfew for kids. How realistic is it to enforce? One night suggesting I was going to open a place called Bill Maher's Catholic School. Let me finish. Because Catholic schools are popular now, even with people who aren't Catholic. It's the last place you can send your kid to get an old school education. And they just tell the kids, forget about the Jesus stuff. Just, to them, that's okay indoctrination, as opposed to some of the other indoctrination that goes on. And also, the Catholics don't put up with bullshit. They take your phone. You have to learn your P's and Q's and your grammar and all this kind of stuff. And that's what I just don't understand, that parents don't have the whip hand anymore. Not that you should actually use it.
Yes. California needs to become friendly again for businesses and everyday people. And that begins at the top with leaders like Gavin Newsom and allies like Adam Schiff. For years, people have watched costs surge while politicians kept insisting everything was fine. But clearly, it isn't fine. Housing is out of control. Ordinary families can't afford to live there. Taxes remain high, rules stay strict, and regulations make it difficult to build, grow, or even operate smoothly. Combine costly housing with heavy taxes and suffocating bureaucracy, and people leave. Companies leave as well. If California wants to retain talent and remain strong, it needs real reform, lower costs, smarter policies, and leaders willing to admit the system isn't working.
Movie and TV show that has a teenager in it cannot be mischaracterizing this. And the kids just, they don't listen to their parents, they turn their back on them, they walk out of the room, things that would just get me shut down when I was a kid. And I think it starts with the phone.
Now, let's talk about something else people ignore. The same reform crowd pushed phones and non-stop internet into classrooms. They promised it would modernize learning. Instead, classrooms became distraction zones. Attention spans dropped. Focus disappeared. Real learning got weaker. And now the results are impossible to ignore. So, Maher asks the obvious question. Should the US follow the UK and block kids from social media until a certain age?
The reason why Joe Biden is going to beat Donald Trump is because at the end of the day, America is going to want a president who is a decent human being, who doesn't shit on other people, who has some interest in the American people, some interest in something beyond himself.
It sounds like a simple question, but it's loaded because it demands accountability. And you can clearly see Schiff growing uneasy. Maher doesn't back off. He keeps pressing the same point. Schools are for learning, not constant scrolling. Discipline matters, focus matters, and the system is clearly out of control.
The Atlantic put out an article last year, and it was called Separating Sports by Sex Doesn't Make Sense. Right. And talked about how we separate sports like the WNBA just because it's just socialization. This is insane.
I agree.
Okay. That's why people vote for Trump. Mm-hmm. Because there's stuff like that on the left that people just go, I know Trump's horrible, but separating sports by sex makes perfect sense. Mm-hmm. And if you think it doesn't, you can't leave the country.
That's cutting off your nose to spite your face.
Okay. I'm just giving you the answer to the question you're asking all night long. Why do they vote for Donald Trump? It's not always because they like him. No, it's because stuff like that is...
Now, remember, this was before the election. Schiff was convinced Democrats were going to win. He sounded certain. But watch what Maher does next. He gradually breaks that confidence and exposes the illusion.
For example, I've seen you on TV a lot in the last couple of years. I know everything you know or that you tell us about the Russian situation. I don't have a clue what you think about healthcare. I've never heard it. Yeah. I don't know whether you're for Medicare for all or improve Obamacare or get a chicken. I don't know what. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know what.
Here's what I was telling my colleagues, and particularly these wonderful candidates we had running in the midterms. Don't talk about Russia. You're not going to persuade people to vote Democrat or Republican based on Russia.
But what about Trump?
Now, I get asked about it because, our investigation for the last 2 years was the only investigation into what Russia did.
Right.
And people ask me about it. But what I urge the candidates and what I urge our nominees to talk about is how are you going to help American people put bread on the table? How are you going to help them provide for a secure retirement in an environment which people don't stay in the same job their whole life, in a job with globalization and automation? How do people get health care? How do they keep health care when they go from job to job? How do we help young people afford college? Those are the things we need to be talking about. We are in the midst of two revolutions right now, either one of which would be phenomenally disruptive. The two put together are just producing this cataclysm of xenophobic populism around the world. And it's the revolution in the global economy through globalization and automation when millions are losing their jobs through no fault of their own. And it's the revolution in communication, which is every bit as significant as the invention of the printing press, but it happened overnight, where lies travel faster than truths, where hate goes viral, and you put those two things together and it is a combustible mix. And addressing those challenges, talking about how in this environment we're going to put people to work, we're going to deal with this yawning gap between rich and poor, We're going to make sure that whether you have one job in the morning and you drive an Uber at night, that you have health care at the end of the day and a retirement at the end of your career. That's, I think, what we need to be talking about.
And I'll let you go, but I see you going on Fox News.
Well, I had some good encouragement from someone very close
Everybody's
to you.
going on Fox News now.
And here's the crazy part. Maher was basically right. While the left was celebrating early, Maher noticed something different. Voters were getting fed up. And when you ignore that frustration, you pay for it. A lot of Americans felt worn out by political extremes. They felt like common sense was being replaced by culture war noise. Some voters didn't even love Trump. They just thought the other side looked more extreme and rigid. Maher's point is simple. If people feel ignored, they respond at the ballot box. Then Maher pushes Schiff to do what most politicians avoid. Step outside the comfort zone. Go on Fox News. Schiff seems hesitant because it's easier on MSNBC or CNN. Those interviews are softer, the questions are easier, and the pushback is minimal. Maher's message is, if you believe your ideas are strong, defend them anywhere. That's the real test.
Virginia Governor-elect Abigail Spanberger, who before the 24 election said things like, if the party didn't shift to the center, we will get fucking torn apart. And we need to never use the word socialist or socialism ever again. At least the party has a clear choice here, very clear. One wing is saying don't ever use the word socialist again, and one is saying,
I am a democratic socialist.
But Schiff does what politicians always do. He dodges. Maher asks a simple question. What is your message? Not Trump is bad, not the usual talking points. What's the message? Because that's the real problem. For years, so much of the party strategy has been built around one man, Trump. But hating Trump isn't a platform. Voters eventually want specifics. What are you offering? What direction are you pushing? Why should people trust you? If you can't answer that clearly, people tune out.
so how do we decide who's right? Well, it turns out we don't really have to flip a coin. We have the evidence. In 2024, 13 Democrats won. In districts, Trump also won. All moderates. This isn't rocket science. All the left-leaning think tanks have done autopsies on 2024, and they all came up with the same message: move to the center. Even the New York Times, which did so much to promote woke politics, now says the partisans are wrong. Moving to the center is the way to win. And Democrats should recognize the party moved too far left on social issues after Obama left office.
But Schiff does what politicians always do. He dodges. Maher asks a straightforward question. What is your message? Not Trump is bad. Not the usual talking points. What's the message? Because that's the real issue. For years, much of the party strategy has revolved around one man, Trump. But hating Trump isn't a platform. Voters eventually want specifics. What are you offering? What direction are you promoting? Why should people trust you? If you can't answer that clearly, people tune out.